All right, welcome back to the 17 Media Podcast, Rugby League Pathways and Insights. Today we're joined by someone who has walked the walk as a player and is now helping guide the next generation of stars. Dixon McIver is an NRL-accredited agent with Sports Vision Management, a former London Bronco player and a mentor that blends old-school values with modern-day athletic management. We're going to dive into what managers really do, when young players get signed, and how they make the right choice. Welcome, Dixon.
Cheers, Justin. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, fantastic to have you on here. So we've got a lot of young players that want to learn the art of management and when they decide that they're ready to get one. So you've got a pretty great path as far as a player and now a sports manager. You represent a lot of young local kids and NRL players, both in Australia and overseas. When and how do you think young kids need to look at getting themselves into a manager, and how does that work?
Look, the most important thing, Justin, is for kids to understand that they're still young and they need to live life as young men.
Yep.
We naturally start watching kids from 13, 14 years of age onwards simply because you start recognising the talent they have, and then that's going to change each year that goes by. And 9 times out of 10, we've seen the 13 and the 14-year-olds that were superb, and by the time they turned 15 or 16, they kind of went off the radar.
Yep.
So it's a matter of tracking, one, the progress they're making, and two, as that time leads up to when agents are allowed to sign players, which currently set the year they turn 15, there's talks about that changing, but I'd like to go into that a little bit more in regards to the pros and cons I see in it. It's important just to put them on the radar to watch, observe, notice the differences they have each year they play to the time that you want to engage with the family about offering your services to them.
So is it a situation where you spot the talent, and I'd imagine that would happen over a period of years, and then you approach the families, or do you have families approaching you? Do you have players approaching you? Like, what's the usual sort of transition for someone using your services and you hiring a young player or representing a young player? Good
question. So I'll answer all three. I get a lot of inquiries online from young players who want to follow their dream.
Yep.
And I go through every single one and respond accordingly to give them the answer that, one, they deserve to have. And first and foremost is that, okay, how old are you and what grade are you playing? And what rep level are you playing at? That then identifies the sort of age catchment that we're talking about. When they do come back, go, I'm playing under 15s and I'm at this school, I'm at this second division club. There's only one answer I can give them is that, hey, look, you are under the legal age that we have, or when I say the NRL legal age,
sure.
I can only converse with you folks in regards to this particular situation. That ends the story right there, because normally, I'll get mum and dad to touch base, etc. and so forth. So there are a lot of kids that reach out because that's their dream. The one thing I hate the most about those inquiries is, hi, can anybody chat? And I'm thinking, if that's your introduction, do I really need to answer that? Or, hi, I want to be an NRL player. Can you get me there? There's a lot of interesting enough, you can read through the way they talk to determine what sort of character they are.
Yes.
And it all comes down to the writing. Then you get obviously messages from parents, and they can send a big long-winded spiel about my son's this, my son's that, my son's this, or my daughter's this and daughter's that. Oh, but he never played this year because he's been injured. And then you start looking at a completely different character again in regards to who wants it more, the parent or the child. Then you've got players that get referred to you. And I have been caught in the past where I've had an NRL club, for instance, go, hey, this kid's really good. So you go and to engage with them, but if I was to make my own choice, I probably shouldn't have signed that kid.
Right. Yep.
So when I'm speaking on behalf of my preference, I need to know who I'm representing.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know who I'm approaching because I saw something. Because if I don't believe in them and I've just taken somebody's advice and there are things that aren't going to stack up to what I feel, then I should never have signed that player in the first place.
Yeah, I get that. Yep.
So there was a lot of different dynamics to identification, but personally, I like to watch the players. I prefer to watch them on a number of occasions, but you don't get the chance today. In the old days, you used to, because you've got to activate pretty quickly because they go off the market that fast, and parents are that quick to wanting to get their kids picked up.
Yep.
Some for the right reasons, some for the wrong reasons. So it does come down to, if I'm going to go to an NRL club and represent a player and go, hey, I've got this player I think you really need to look at, then you need to know who they are as a person, as a player, as opposed to I'm just going to sign them there and then stack them to the side until they become somebody of importance.
Which I think does happen, but obviously not through, the way that you do your process. I'm sure there are kids that are sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere and their representative is just waiting for them to either bloom or not.
Yeah, and those are the ones that get lost to the game.
Yep.
Those are the ones that tend to have the wrong message in life, and it can be a real kick in the guts for them. Confidence-wise, belief in themselves, self-doubt. They have enough of that as it is as players in the NRL space when they're either being dropped from a team or they're underperforming and they don't want to be accountable for the fact that actually, look, I have a very simple process towards life, and I mention this to a lot of the players that I look after and a lot of the families that I work with, because we're not just agents. We're guidance counsellors. We're second parent. We're that extra voice that says the things that they don't listen to because it comes out of mum and dad's mouth.
Ain't that the truth?
Man, I have it with my own kids, so I know exactly what that's like. And I've sat there with many parents and discussed simple things in life, and the parents have gone, "Didn't I say that?"
Yeah.
But because they hear it from you day in, day out, and it's not till we grow older, Justin, we realise that, wow, mum and dad were actually right about the things they tried to teach me. But we, having that, especially men, that little alpha male gene in us to find our own path, we want to do it on our own. We want to be the orchestrator of our life and where we're going, and we learn from our mistakes. Simple as that. We can get all the advice that we're given 10 times over, but we still want to try it for ourselves to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, and that's very wise words. And you're right, we've been there and we're experiencing with our own kids.
Yep.
And you do hear many a parent say, geez, we had to learn that for ourselves. But then again, I guess that's just the way of life. And like you said, the young men and they're alphas, they want to get out and find the world and
they do
protect themselves and their mates and flex their muscles. So
they don't want to hear the truth.
No.
That's the harsh reality. They don't want to hear the truth, but it also comes down to the delivery on how you give that to them.
Yep.
If you're just going to batter them with it, they're just going to rebel all the time against what you're saying. So you need to provide it in a way that they can understand and just take it true to heart of what's been passed on to them to learn from.
Yes. Yeah, well, and the thing is with training, like, you can't not do the work and then expect a great result. The lead time of the effort in the training and then the lag time of getting the reward is what life is all about, and that's in any walk of life. So
stats don't lie.
They don't lie.
They don't lie.
They don't lie. So what's the role that you play in the manager's life, in the player's life, as a manager? You obviously help with talent identification for them, introducing them to various things.
Look, the first thing is you've got to identify a talent that makes you feel that, as I said before, you want to represent that player. The reality is you're not representing the player from a young age. You're representing the folks.
Yes.
And parents can turn to you and go, "Oh, it's all about his decision." No, it's not. I mean, as much as and it's a nice thing for them to take ownership. You have to have them part of that, but they don't have an idea of what they're really stepping into. So mums and dads have to have that guidance in conjunction with them. It is important for them to, on a parallel basis, to understand everything and those stages they're going through. When you turn around and say, it's all about how they feel, our kids don't know how they really feel. They're still young to understand that. So you need to empower, first and foremost, the parents along the lines that, hey, this is about a decision you've got to make, because I don't take it lightly when somebody says, I want you to look after my kid. Mm. That's a responsibility you don't take lightly.
Huge.
So
we're not talking about a sleepover here.
No, exactly.
We're talking about a professional career. So,
and even then, there's no guarantees.
There's no guarantee of it.
There's no
correct.
guarantees.
It's not one of those things you can do the course and then at the end of it, you're a high percentage chance of getting a job. We're not talking about an apprenticeship here, but it is an apprenticeship, I guess, but there's nothing at the end. There's no certain guaranteed pot of gold.
Look, if you think that you're just going to become a professional rugby league player, then you've got a real rude awakening to sort of come your way, because there's a lot of hard work involved. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. There are a lot of things you need to give up as a young person that you want to enjoy involved in becoming a professional NRL or NRLW player. And that's the very reason why there's that very narrow sort of window of those that make it through. And even then, they face adversity of misdemeanors off the field and all of the above. So that guidance from 15 years of age, as it sits at the moment, right through to 20, 21, 22 even, it's a long road. And it's something you do for free.
Yeah.
Well, we do. I don't know whether others do or not. I've heard different stories, but the reality is that you're putting yourself out there to represent the player in that family to achieve their goal, because there's nothing more fulfilling. Because to me, and the way I look at this is my passion. It's not my job.
Yeah.
But I've had to go through a lot in life to get to that stage too. When you're passing on knowledge, information, guidance, and advice, that it can only come from experience.
Yep.
And excuse the expression, I've been through the penthouse, I've been through the shithouse in life, and it's all of the above that I endeavour to pass on to our young men we represent about, hey, this is the reality of how it's going to be. I do understand it. Done this right, done this wrong.
Yep.
And if you truly want to achieve the goals that you've set yourself, this is the path you've got to take. And don't think that I just want to get the biggest contract when I turn 15. That's the worst thing that can happen. I'd rather our kids work for that stage as they go by, as opposed to just have it put on the platter. They don't learn anything by having it. Like, you can see some pretty full-on stories with youngsters that have got these amazing contracts, which good on them. They deserve it because they're talent. But you're also setting that youngster up to fail when you put that much pressure on them on a price tag that goes on to them. That all of a sudden their schoolmates, he's the pretty boy, he's got the big contract. That's a lot for a youngster to go through when they're 15 years of age, and they still should be just enjoying backyard footy with their mates.
Yeah, and playing the game. Money certainly does change perspective on a lot of things. You get situations where you've got people getting signed that their contracts are probably larger than what mum and dad earn. And then all of a sudden there's pressure on them to bring in some bread.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. And it's you don't want them to be undervalued.
No.
You want them to have what they rightfully deserve as far as the rest of the playing group goes. But there's a point that can go too far that can actually destroy them. And life takes time. It's not going to happen overnight for them.
Yeah, it does.
So I work normally in what I call my 3 stages of your footy career. So from 15 years of age to 17/18 is that first stage where I'd rather them be in a system from 15 years of age than have all the other outside influences that can throw them off the rails from any other parts. They've, got to have that ability and that talent to get there first. And it's the character from there onwards that will determine whether they're going to have a future in that game. So NRL clubs tend to like being involved with the kids from 15 years of age onwards themselves, because they want to groom the player that they have that goes from 15 years of age through to their Harold Matts, Cyril Connell up this way, or the SG Ball and Mal Meninga. Then they move into stage 2. That bottlenecks down from that 15-year-old age group, because every year our kids change.
Yes.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, influences, boyfriends, girlfriends, alcohol, drugs, just falling out of love with the game.
Yep.
There's so many areas that sort of play a part in their life to be at those crucial ages. And if they can get past that stage and they part of that bottleneck, they've then got to go through another one to take them to 21 years of age in order to get them ready for senior football.
Do you think there's a big drop-off through those ages?
Massive.
Yep.
Huge drop-off. I've had people say to me, oh, geez, you guys must have hundreds of people on your books because you're always signing people. We do sign a lot of people. But we have almost just as many that fall off.
Yeah.
Simply because it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
They come to that bottleneck phase and then they're not ready to go to the next stage, or they don't want to play footy anymore.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. What we don't do is we don't go market, he's given up the game, because there's no point in publicising something along those lines. So you've got a lot of young 15-year-olds that come through. They fall off maybe 17, 18 years of age for the reasons that I just gave before.
Yeah. Yep.
You get some kids that don't poke their nose through till 17, 18 years of age that have always wanted to be signed because their friends are, and they're watching, all the other teammates get picked up and get involved with NRL clubs. They're the ones that actually have that persistence to carry on. They're the ones that go, you know what, I've been hammering away for the last 2 or 3 years and no one's picked me up. Now my chance has come. They've gone through the adversity. They've gone through a different lesson in life to get there.
Yeah, I've witnessed some of that stuff, and I think, when they, particularly if they replace a player that's always been picked first, always played, you do tend to see people like the star that gets dropped for the persistent worker. You see someone who grabs an opportunity that is going to run through brick walls for them, and then you see someone else deal with some emotional stuff because they're not used to getting no.
Yeah.
They're not used to being dropped. And it's a very interesting dynamic to see that within a team. I mean, who would be a coach? You have to deal with the good and the bad and the ugly, I guess. But it's interesting you say that. So if you're 17, 18, you haven't had a conversation with anyone yet, you love the game, you're toiling away, what's your advice to those young men and women that feel like it's kind of slipped through their fingers? It sounds like it's just dig in and get going.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, you have to have the tools first and foremost.
Yep.
But you need to understand that you're going to be put in an environment where you just can't be good.
Yeah.
You have to be outstanding. That's the reality of it. You can go out and play some good football. Good's not going to be good enough. There are 1,000 good players out there in the same age group, but you need to stand out. So you need to also understand that when you go out and have that opportunity, don't just sit there and be a number. Think about adding value to everything you can do in that field, because if you can apply that, it's not about whether you score all the tries or do all the fancy dynamic things. True scouts and agents will see the little things that you do both on and off the field that will have that tick, and you'll go, I like what I see in that player. You can see the perseverance in them. They just need to be given that opportunity, that direction, and live to it and not lie to themselves.
Mm. Yep. And this generation that we've got now, they want everything straight away.
They do.
You know, so the I shouldn't say that. The majority want everything straight away. So,
Justin, my kids hate me saying it, but they're an entitled generation, and that's how our generation look at the younger generation today.
Mm-hmm.
The problem comes from us. We created it.
We enable it.
We did.
Yep.
So we were brought up in this hard line, just harden up attitude.
Yep.
That's how I was brought up. And I was having a chat with an ex-NRL player yesterday, and we were talking about that very thing, how just need to harden up.
Yeah.
Now, there are parts to that I've got to also take my old school hat off and go, there is a part of it that we need to sort of understand and try and marry the two together. Mm-hmm. And it is honesty. It is being accountable, and it is delivering that message to them in the best honest way. Go, hang on, do you think you could have done things differently?
Yeah.
Do you really think you gave 100% in that game? You know, they've got to answer those questions in themselves. But we as parents love our kids, and we only want the best for them.
Yep. And
we sometimes can be blindfolded ourselves in the faults of our children, especially when we're being defensive. Oh, no, he should have been picked. Actually, no, he didn't deserve to be.
Yep.
That's the reality of the situation.
Well,
he didn't play hard enough, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But then you get those scenarios where there are preferences with specific coaches, and you can understand that, and you've just got to work through it and keep persevering, or find somewhere that's going to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, look, Matty Head was one of our original episodes, and I spoke to Matty about it, and he said, you know, if you're not picked, there's a numerous number of different reasons for that. You mightn't be the right fit for that team. But if you keep persisting, you'll truly know what is going to come of your career. So, if you're not right for someone's roster, he said, just keep at it, don't give up. To the point where you get to, you've done everything you possibly can, you've been your best, and your best just isn't good enough, well, then that's okay. You can walk away with your head held high. But, that's
the best advice you can give.
There's all the NRL teams, but then there's all the feeder teams into those, and so on and so forth. You can still play a high-level rugby league and love the game without pulling on an NRL jersey. And there are, like, Jermaine from the Bronx, what a story.
Mm.
They've got Ben Tolty there. I think someone said he just debuted recently in the NRL. And
yeah, he did.
There's some older players. We had a young man named Brendan Fry on. He's, 28. He was the next – he was signed to the Roosters. He was signed to a few other clubs, and he's still toiling away and, just great athletes. And you sit back and you think the dedication, the work that they've put into this, that should be a message to any young kid. You're not just going to wake up today and pull on an NRL jersey tomorrow and go out and be the next big superstar. I mean,
you're going to go through a phase where you're going to have a plateau, if not decline, to go up again.
Yep.
And that's when you test the adversity here upstairs.
Yep.
And how much you really have learned from it all.
Yeah, and it's a a really good message to them to just be patient,
Yep.
work hard.
And that doesn't just go for the players, it goes for the parents.
Yeah.
It really does, because it's, as I said before, we only want what's best for them, and sometimes we get blindsided by it.
We do.
The reality is we need to take a step back and go, we've created this beast because we worked our butts off to give them the best life they could, because we never either didn't have it when we were younger.
Yep.
Because that old school ethic was work hard.
Yeah.
And it'll come by just, I go back and I really strip back life in general and look at a lot of the things I have to deal with today and more around why our society is the way it is and how social media has played a major influence. I mean, as you know, we're very active, but I'll always put out positive messages in regards to what we're doing, who we're seeing, why we're there, what they've achieved. You get the haters that come on board and put, this and that, and I'll delete those simply because it's not the space that I'm trying to promote within our group.
Look, I understand where you come from there, and I get I get through what I'm doing, I get a lot of positive feedback. I do get some negative feedback, but it's not their platform.
No,
just jog,
exactly.
Jog on. If you don't like what you see, just jog on to the next one. But unfortunately, we do live in a world of the keyboard warriors where they think they can really have a crack, and it makes them feel, they get a little dopamine hit from it because they've said their bit. But ultimately, I think it's a tool that can be used for great things, but it's also a tool that can inhibit a lot of things. But the stuff that you do to promote your young men and women is great. Like you're putting it out there.
I'm proud of them.
You are very proud of them.
Very proud of them. I don't consider them as one of our philosophies is all about whānau, family, which is that's the translation in Māori. Mm-hmm. It's how both Stan and I are. Mm-hmm. We've never been about having this massive portfolio of players that we don't know 75% of them. Yeah. It's about knowing every single one of them and their families and knowing that they're not all going to make it, but they're not commodities to us.
No.
And we share that journey together when we're taking them from 15 years of age through to the NRL space. There's nothing more fulfilling. And it still brings a tear in your eye every time you see it, because it's morally that's who we're supposed to be, human beings with emotions. Yep. And it is a proud moment to share that with families.
Yep. Yeah, it's it would be an amazing feeling.
Incredible feeling.
You get someone who most gave up on, you saw something in them, you stuck by them, they worked their absolute backside off, and then they arrive. That'd be pretty cool.
Mate,
very cool.
The hardest ones of those ones is the ones that you've spent all the way through and have got there, and they turn their back on you.
Yeah, that'd cut deep.
It does, because they're like your own child. They're like your son. And you'd understand, like I have this philosophy that, hey, if I'm going to sign you, then I'm sticking with you till the end until you give up. Otherwise, it's not my place to turn around and go, hey, look, how about we just end this agreement we have, because, you're not going to go anywhere. Should never have signed them in the first place. You see it through in that term.
Yep.
Now, I've had many players that have got to that specific age group where the contract expires under the management agreement, and you've got to be honest with them and say, hey, look, there's nothing really happening. Always be there for them.
Yep.
But at the moment, there's nothing there, and there's no point them just having the label of, I've got an agent who looks after my kid.
Yep.
That doesn't do them any favours.
No, and let's face it, there is a few of those.
Yeah,
there's lots of horror stories out there, and you just sit back and you just think you're not really doing the right thing by them. It's just a collection of names, So,
look, I have two philosophies that I live by in that space. You lose them because, one, you're not doing a good enough job. That's simple.
Mhm.
Two, they'll use you to get to where they want to get to and then kick you to the curb.
Yep.
Now, as harsh as that is, it's not the sort of person I want to be representing.
no.
That's the heart. Whether it be the parents or the player, that's not the sort of person or the family I want to be representing.
Yep.
Because they'll do it to one, they'll do it to another, and it just tells me the character of that individual.
100%. And I think that, you know, in today's society, contracts and things like that have proven to have less worth than they did probably 20, 30 years ago.
Piece of paper shouldn't bind you.
Yeah, correct. I think it's interesting to see how those kids then go, because essentially if they're leaving a nice, honest, nurturing environment and then they're jumping into someone who's just stolen them away, you'd probably see them fall out the back door as soon as a few things change. One is they make a mistake, their form drops, and before you know it, they're gone. I don't know if you've had any come to you years after and gone, yeah, that wasn't the right choice. I should have stuck with you.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You know, and those are the ones where, again, they have a fulfilling moment because they're not too old to carry on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about what we think is right or wrong. We've got to believe in what we do and how we do it. The important thing is just to ensure that you're keeping everything as transparent as required.
Possible. Correct.
You're being as honest as you can the way through. You've gone and advocated on behalf of that family or that player to the best of your ability. I'll never go and oversell them to what they're really worth. It's just not my way. If I'd say to families, look, if you're looking for someone that's just going to, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, I'll go get you the best deal and that's all there is to it. I said, that's not me.
Yep.
I'd rather work through the trenches with your child so that they can earn values in life and that mere respect of working for what they need to achieve, because it'll be better off for them in the long run than the entitled one that thinks that's just going to fall out of the sky and I'm going to go jump ship and go to another club because I'm not getting what I want.
And aren't we seeing a bit of that in the modern day?
Yeah, we are. You know, there are reasons why you need to leave. If you don't feel there's a true succession plan going on and you need to go somewhere to find, like you mentioned before, you know, it might not work with that specific club, then you've got to move on.
Mm-hmm.
But there are the other moments you just sit back and go, hang on, what's the real reason?
What's the real reason? That person was the absolute flavour of the month when you signed them and you made all these commitments, and now all of a sudden something's going on and, you know.
Outside influences make a big difference in the way they think about things. So the most important thing that I'd like to pass on is that you try and understand that it is also position specific.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are some families that can, why is that boy getting more than my one? Mm-hmm. Well, the reason is, one, he's a better player. Even those that might not be as good a player as what your child is, they play in a different position that actually demands more in what they do.
Yep.
So there are a number of reasons why. So you just need to educate them around the patience to get to where they want to get to.
Yep. Do you think there's enough people in the game today that are honest with these young kids?
No. No, I don't. Majority of them out there, there's some good people out there. And I get to meet all the ones we see in the media today. Mm-hmm. And I'll always pay my respects to them because that's who I am as a person until that line's crossed and I'll go, well, I'm not even going to give you the time of day.
Yep.
Because that's who we're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. we're all in competition to each other.
No doubt.
But it doesn't mean that you need to just sit there and be a right arsehole to them simply because he's in another organisation, or whether you don't believe in their values and how they operate their business. That's entirely up to them.
Well, how you react is your professional business card, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's as you know, it's important for me to be out and about because I think the most important thing to have, young players especially, all they want to know is that you're in their corner watching them.
Yeah, correct.
We're not their coaches. I'll never profess to them going, hey, look, I'm your coach, I'm going to do this, that, and so forth for you. You're there to critique little things at a time, step by step. Hey, look, you needed to do a bit more in your defensive efforts here, or you needed to do a bit more in your attack, or your urgency and your willingness to want to be there just wasn't. All those little things matter, and that's that repetitive message that goes on with them that you just got to keep delivering to them. They need to understand that you're watching them.
Yeah, and you're there. Like, some of these kids come from well-to-do, some of them come from families that are battling, and rugby league is their world. And, I've been involved and I've seen where parents have never turned up and watched their kids play footy. So to have someone like yourself in their corner, knowing that they've got someone which comes back to that whole family. We're looking after you. We got your back.
It does.
And I've got to say, I don't think there's anyone or any other industry where they would invest 5 or 6 years for zero financial return and the level of support that you give, it's remarkable.
When I first approached my partner, my wife, about going into this space, she's not a leaguey first and foremost. It's not her. But she supported me, not with all the faith I can imagine, because I remember I was fortunate to get into this business, even though I started in sports management a long time ago, in this particular space now that I've been doing for over 10 years now. My business partner now, Stan Martin, is the OG of the game back in New Zealand. First and foremost, Stan was a coach, a very highly regarded coach and coached at a lot of high levels. I wanted to be an NRL coach.
Okay.
I actually one day called up Stan. We've been conversing. We've known each other since 92. And he was the coach of coaches for the Auckland Rugby League back in the day. And I called him up and said, hey, mate, I want to be an NRL coach. And he sort of chuckled and laughed. And I was sort of listening to him and he goes, hey, mate, he goes, if you're serious, he goes, you've got to go get this qualification, this grade, this certificate, you've got to coach this grade, this rep grade, and then you've got to do this and that and so forth. I started calculating 10 years of a maybe.
Yep.
And he said, Dixon, I'm probably the highest qualified coach in this country at the moment. I can't get an NRL gig.
Yeah, wow.
He gave me a real good reality of, hey, you might want it, and I'm not going to burst your bubble, but the realistic truth to it is that, no.
Go get a decade of experience.
Yep.
And good experience, and then you'll earn yourself a seat at the table, but there's way more chairs than there are positions.
You see, another thing about me, Justin, is I'm not that sort of soldier. I've always been a bit of a lone wolf when it came to my ideals and how I like to do things. I'd never really sort of fell for the whole corporate structure side of things. I've never been one to kiss ass, basically.
Yep.
I've spoken my mind when I felt it needed to be spoken. It was the way I was brought up, and that doesn't stack.
No.
There's a reason why we're regurgitating the same coaches around the NRL world, because it is a cliquey little circle, and it's very, very hard to get into. And that's what Stan was alluding me to. And his next words were, I've been doing this agency for a long time. Why don't you become an agent? I think you could be good at it. That's how it all started.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when I said to my wife about this is what I want to do, I said, but there's not going to be any money for, because the best advice Stan gave me was don't expect to earn a dime for at least a minimum of 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So you need to get into it with passion. Mm-hmm. You need to get into it understanding that you've got to have something to service your living whilst you're out trudging the fields for everyone else's kids every weekend.
And that's the thing. It's such a dedication. Like, you know, the expense involved in you turning up to all these games.
Oh, big time.
Huge.
Big time. So, like, I have loads of people contact me about, hey, I want to become an agent. How do I do it? And 99% of them said, okay, how old are you? Oh, late 20s, early 30s. Married? Yeah, married. Kids? Yeah, got a little one on the way. I said, what do you think your wife and your child wants more than anything else? You know, or actually, sorry, the first question I asked them is, what do you think you need in this game more than anything else? Oh, you need a good eye. You need to understand the game, good negotiation skills to be able to, you know, advocate on their behalf. And or I said, that's all important. I said, you know what the most important thing is? Time.
Time and a trust fund.
What do you think your wife and your child want out of you more than anything else?
Time.
Is time.
Yep. Time, and then the money, because you know there's not too many people that can go for 5 or 6 years without an earn. So
you got to have a patient partner.
Yep.
And fortunately, my kids were grown, so it just slotted in nicely for me. I love it. I do love it.
Oh, and from the moment we started chatting, I could tell when I reached out to you, and then we had a chat on the phone. I could tell straight away. I could feel your passion. I could feel that, you know. They say, you know, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, to me, you seem like that person, and it's great. And, you know, I certainly would think that any young family, any family or kid that can have you represent them is a step in the right direction. Like,
no, I appreciate it, mate.
It's there's been a fascinating insight. I know you've got to press on and get off to watch your next crew of kids playing today.
We're going to go watch the Langer Reserves and Walters semis today.
We got Mabel Park v
Marsden.
So that'll be a big one.
That'll be a big one.
Always a bit of feeling in that game.
Indeed.
And
Keeber and Ippy. That's in the that's in the Langer Reserves.
Yes.
Walters. I know Keber in there.
Yeah. I'm not sure who else is in there. I'm not across that, but it's a great breeding ground, isn't it? The local school stuff here.
I love the Southeast Queensland schools. I mean, it's my preference. Naturally, as you know, we've worked with a lot of players and families to transition over here and to really embark and fully immerse into the you know the systems they've got here. And look, I've got to say, I wish I had these platforms when I was a youngster. Education via sport is probably some of the best habits and tools we can have. And Australia do it well.
Yep, they do.
We don't do it back home in New Zealand the same way.
Right.
They do it well. If I had rugby league as a subject, I would have gone to school.
Yeah.
And what I'm finding, though, is that when you touch on your true passion, which in this case is rugby league, it makes all the other subjects palatable each day.
Yeah. Yes.
And you find that all of a sudden their English is improving, their math is, because it goes part and parcel with what they love.
Yep.
And we don't have that in New Zealand. So when I work through an education process of our youngsters transitioning here and give them the idea of what they're in for, because there's cultural things they need to look at, there's the whole school environment. It's the full immersion. You eat, sleep, and shit footy here.
Yeah, you do.
And I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
I think if that's what you truly want, and if you're going to come here for that reason, then why not? If you're coming here just to follow the trend, then you're wasting everyone's time.
And I think
including mum and dad's money.
Oh, look, and it's so good to see them. You go to a junior, you go to a school rugby league game, you see all of them roll off the bus in uniform. They're one unit. There's so many good things that they are learning that will provide excellence in everyday life.
Oh, 100%.
It's just so good.
I've had players who have been in their last year of school, come over here to do a final. In fact, they've come here to go play club footy, be involved with an NRL club, and they've had the ability to be able to do another year of school or a final year. I don't want to go to school. I said, you're going to go to school there, whether you like it or not. But I don't want to go to school. I said, here's the reason why I want you to go to school. I want you to go fully immersed in football, and that's what you're going for. I would rather you as an 18-year-old, what I can't work out here is a lot of the Australian kids finish school at 17, which I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I send a play here, I make sure you go in on the year according to the ability. Like, for instance, you can be a 16-year-old to go to year 10, 17-year-old to go to year 11. You can be an 18-year-old to go to year 12. And even though he was having to go back a year because it's different to what it is in New Zealand, I said, I would rather you go there as an 18-year-old and go hang around with your schoolmates and kick the ball around and play some Langer football than go over there and be involved with your local club, whether it be Burleigh and then Titans, and go to the workforce and have the influences of going for an after Friday night beer.
Yeah.
I said, you're still young.
Yeah.
That particular incident, I remember that young man saying to me, geez, I wish I had another year at school.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a great
the environment is elite. And
this Langer competition, that more than anywhere else, it's I really admire the whole structure.
Yeah,
and it's a really good testament and test for our kids to see where the next level goes from there.
Oh, totally. Well, I could talk all day.
Yeah,
but
me too.
We do have some pressing things to get to. Dixon, I just want to say that this is going to resonate well with our listeners, and I'm glad that I reached out, and I'm glad that you accepted.
No, Justin, appreciate it. Really do.
Absolutely fantastic. So look forward to seeing you around and seeing some of your stars turn into the next lot of great men and young women. And thanks again, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, Justin.